federal student loans. That might seem like an off topic for modern homemakers, but once again, we're all about getting out of debt. And if you've been to college and you have student loans, chances are you have some federal student loans. So we're going to talk about that today. Hi, it's Travis with Modern Homemakers. Today we're going to talk about federal student loans. We talked about private loans in our last video. So this is federal loans. These are government student loans. I'm going to talk about the different types of government student loans and just what you need to know about them. And, most importantly, we're going to talk about how we're going to pay these off. Okay? So, different types of federal student loans. The most common type are the Stafford loans. These come in two types, subsidized and unsubsidized. The subsidized loans, you're not charged any interest on those while you're in school, but when you get out of school, the interest is going to kick in on those. The unsubsidized loans, those are going to accrue interest the entire time that you're in school. So those are the primary federal loans that you'll see. There are a couple of other federal loans as well. There's the Perkins loan, which is not as common. Only about 1,700 schools use the Perkins loan, but that's basically a government loan where the government gives money to the school, and then the school is the lender, and you actually pay that money back to the school, but it's still a federal loan because the money ultimately comes from the government. And then the last type is the Parent Plus loan, and this is a loan that is for parents of dependent college students, and we'll talk about that in a separate video. But for right now, what you need to know about federal loans. Okay, I talked in the last video about how federal loans oftentimes are serviced by a third party, which is a private lender. You know, you might have a federal loan which is being serviced by a third party like Sallie Mae. Now that makes it confusing because then you might think, well, I've got all these Sallie Mae loans. Well, really, you've got a Sallie Mae private loan over here, but then you've got federal loans that really are government loans, but they're being serviced by Sallie Mae, for instance. Okay, what you need to understand is that as of June, I believe it was June of 2010, that's no longer the case. You don't see federal student loans like that anymore. All of the federal loans are directly through the U.S. Department of Education now. They're called direct loans. But if you went to college before 2010, you've probably got a lot of these other loans that were being serviced by Sallie Mae or whatnot. That was under the Federal Family Education Loan Program. Now, basically, they're the exact same kind of loan. Okay, nothing's really changed. They've just removed the third party. They've taken away the middleman. You still owe the same amount of money. You still owe it to the government ultimately. Whatever your interest rate that you got on the loan is the same. Now that is one of the advantages that federal loans have over private loans, is that they have a fixed interest rate. So whatever your interest rate was when you took the loan, it's always going to be that. Whereas private loans, when you get that, the interest rate can go up and down and all over the place. So federal loans are a little bit more flexible in terms of what your options are and stuff like that. One of the most important things to understand about any type of loan, but especially about federal loans, is that you do not want to go into default on your federal loans. Basically what happens there is when you get out of school, you're no longer a college student, or you're no longer attending school at least half time, you're going to have a grace period on your loans that's 6 months long. You have a 6-month grace period before you have to pay your loans back. Once that grace period is exhausted, you are expected to make payments on your loans. If you go 270 consecutive days after that point without making any payments on your loans, you're going to go into default. And what that means is they can basically require that you have to pay this whole amount up front immediately. They can require it of you immediately. And what usually happens is they turn it over to a collections agency. Well before that point, it's going to destroy your credit rating. Okay, basically, once you're in default, they can garnish your wages from your job. If you get a refund in your tax return, they can garnish your refund. So it's just a really nasty situation. And if you if you are interested in going back to school and you're trying to get financial aid or whatever, you can't get financial aid again if you're in default. So it's just a, it's just a nasty situation that you want to avoid at all costs. And fortunately, with the government loans, you can avoid that. If you're ever in a situation where you can't repay your loans, you can apply for a deferment or forbearance that would allow you to postpone your payments on your loans for a while. And that's the most important thing that you need to do. If you get laid off from your job, you get fired or whatever, you have no income, you're not able to make any payments on your loans, you need to get them deferred. But if you are able to pay your loans, we need to figure out how to do that. So those are some of the most important things you need to know about federal loans. We're going to talk about what some of your options are with federal loans as far as consolidation and repayment plans and things like that in another video. If you are watching this video, be sure to watch the other video on private student loans, and we'll see you next time.